Noon came and went. No Carl. I sat on the couch staring at my phone, refreshing, checking for messages, calling, straight to voicemail every time. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. The panic was setting in hard. Had they gone to him? Did something happen on the drive? At 3:30, I heard a car pull up outside. I practically ran to the window. Carl's blue hatchback. He was here. He was actually here. I felt something heavy drop in my chest. Relief so strong it almost hurt. Carl's a big guy. Tall, burly, the kind of presence that makes you feel safer just having him around. When he got out of the car looking tired and frustrated, I met him at the door and probably hugged him harder than I ever had. He laughed and patted my back, but I could tell he saw it in my face. How scared I'd been.
"Sorry, man,"
he said.
"GPS kept acting weird, kept trying to route me in circles. My phone lost service like 3 times. This town is in the middle of Arseville nowhere."
"But you're here now." He looked at me closer.
"You okay? You look like you haven't slept."
"I haven't. Come on, I need to show you something." There was no waiting. I took him right to the truck, showed him under the hood. He pulled out his phone and used his flashlight to look closer. Didn't say anything for a long minute. Then he straightened up.
"Yeah, someone did this."
He looked at me.
"Definitely deliberate."
"I know."
"I brought tools. I can probably rig something up if we can get a replacement alternator somewhere locally. I can stay tonight and work on it in the morning."
"No." The word came out harder than I meant it to. "No. We need to leave right now. I can tow my truck later. I don't care. I just need to get out of here." Whatever expression he saw on my face made him nod.
"Okay, brother, let's go."
I grabbed my bag from inside, the one I'd already had packed for days, threw it in his back seat. We were leaving. Finally. Carl turned his key and the hatchback started up. The tyres crunched as we pulled out of the driveway. We headed toward Main Street and then out of town. It's not far. We'd be gone in a few short minutes. We made it about 6 miles before we saw it. A massive tree down across the road. Had to be 4 feet in diameter, completely blocking the way. Carl stopped the car and we both got out to look, hoping it wasn't as severe as it appeared. It looked like when linemen take down trees to clear crowding around telephone wires. The trunk had slammed hard into the asphalt. Explosion of bark debris everywhere. Could have been legitimate, but the way it was positioned felt too perfect, too deliberate. And there was no one around, not a soul. Just a few orange traffic cones. There was no way we were moving it anyway, not without a chainsaw and my truck.
"Shit,"
Carl said.
"I just came this way."
He gestured to the debris where the truck had hit the pavement. I knew at that moment they'd either tried to stop Cole from getting into town or blocked it right after to stop us from leaving. I could tell Cole knew something was up, but we didn't discuss it. We got back in the car and turned around, headed back through town, right past the mound and the people working around it. Carl didn't even notice it. Or maybe he was too focused on driving to care. Either way, I was too anxious to bring it up right now. We drove in silence for a while, taking a sharp turn around a steep bend in the highway. That's when we saw the police car. It was parked sideways across the road, blocking both lanes. An officer was standing next to it. He held up his hand as we approached. Carl slowed to a stop and rolled down his window.
"Afternoon,"
the officer said. He was older, late 50s. He leaned down to look in at us.
"Road's closed ahead. Down tree from the storm last night. Crew's working on it, but it's not safe to pass just yet." "How long until it's clear?"
Carl asked, looking down the road. But another sharp curve cut off any visibility we had.
"Hard to say. Could be tomorrow. Could be longer, depending." Is there any way around it?
Not on this road. You'd need to go back through town, proper.
The officer's hand was resting on his belt. His expression was pleasant, professional, but something about the way he looked at me left me uneasy.
All right,
said Carl.
Thanks, officer.
He rolled up the window and turned the car around. Neither of us spoke. When we were out of sight of the police car, Carl exhaled.
That felt off.
Yeah, and I don't remember a storm last night either. Carl's expression turned grim. There's one more road, I said, out toward the state forest. We drove back through town and turned north. The road wound up through the hills. I hardly knew it, but it had to connect to another highway eventually, right? I was wrong. A sea of construction equipment was blocking it. Orange and white barriers, cones arranged across both lanes, two massive backhoe tractors parked at angles in the middle of the road. No workers, no signs, just equipment. Carl stopped the car and stared, mouth open.
Should be fine if the GPS doesn't act up on me again.
He put the car in drive and pulled forward slowly, studying the roadblock. There was a gap on the right side, narrow. The shoulder dropped off into a steep ditch, but there might be room.
God almighty,
he said. I know.
I can get around it.
Carl, I don't think. He was already turning the wheel. The car bumped up onto the shoulder. Snow crunched loudly under the tyres. The car tilted. I grabbed the door handle. We were sliding. The ditch was right there. Carl jerked the wheel and hit the gas. The tyres spun. The back end fishtailed. For a second, I thought we were going over. Then the tyres caught. The hatchback lurched back onto the pavement, onto the other side of the equipment. Carl was breathing hard. So was I. He looked over at me. The smirk faded fast.
Okay, maybe not.
We made it maybe 50 yards before we saw the second barricade. More equipment, more barriers. Completely impassable this time. Carl stopped the car and just sat there, hands on the wheel. He put it in reverse and carefully backed up, maneuvered around the first barricade again, even more carefully this time, then drove back to my house. We both knew we were out of options, out of energy, and we needed to think. When we got inside, he sat on the couch. He was still trying to stay positive. I could see it in his face, the way he was working through the problem.
Okay, so the roads are blocked. We'll figure something else out.
I was pacing, couldn't sit still. The panic was crawling up my throat.
Carl, they blocked every road, every single one, in the time it took you to drive here.
Could be a coincidence? Bad timing?
You don't believe that.
He didn't answer right away. Then he looked up at me.
No, I don't.
We sat in silence. The afternoon light was fading fast, getting darker earlier and earlier each day. Carl leaned forward.
Okay, so we hike out, through the woods, just avoid the roads entirely, and get to the next town.
I'd already thought about it. Thought about little else while waiting for him.
20 miles through the forest, in December, in Maine, snow on the ground, dark, no trails.
So we leave at dawn, bring supplies, dress warm.
Carl would freeze, would get lost. We wouldn't make it halfway.
He knew I was right. I could see it settling into his expression, the realization that we were trapped. He reached into his jacket and pulled something out. A pistol. He set it on the coffee table between us.
I brought this just in case. Figured with your truck getting vandalized and everything, better to be prepared.
I stared at the gun. Black brushed metal. The weight of it on the table somehow made the room feel less suffocating. Thank you.
Yeah.
We just sat there together in the growing dark, and that's when I heard it. A sound from outside, distant but distinct, deep and wet and resonant, like nothing I'd heard before. It made something primitive in my brain want to run. Carl heard it too. We both went to the window. looked out through the gap in the curtains. Mrs. Dunsley's house, directly across the street. The front door was open and the lights were off. It looked like a solid black rectangle just floating there in the cold. The sound came again, gurgling out from her house.
What is that?
Carl whispered. I don't know,